Welcome to Family Corner. My name is Bailey Cormier and I'm a student orientation coordinator with the orientation program at BSU.
And my name is MJ, and I am an orientation leader. Family Corner is a series that features staff from various departments who are excited to share their expertise and their resources available to support your student. The hope is that this series will provide you with new insight and information so that you are better informed as you support your student's transition into the university.
In today's episode, we are discussing the student life experience, and we are joined by Dean Denine Rocco, the Associate Vice President and Dean of Students. Welcome. So welcome to Family Corner. It's awesome to have you here today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here with both of you.
Awesome. So how does your role at BSU help you to interact with students or give you that opportunity?
Yeah, in my role as Dean of Students, one of the things a Dean of Students does is advocate for students. And so to be with students, to connect with students, to make students' journey at BSU smoother, whether it's policies and processes, procedures to affect the student life, or whether it's departments and services that provide those services to students.
Absolutely.
That sort of is part of my purview. And cheerleader, general cheerleader for students.
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about student affairs and enrollment management, or SAEM?
Yeah, SAEM, Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, a mouthful for sure. A lot of acronyms at our university, any university really. So Student Affairs and Enrollment Management is a division of the university. And when you think of that division, you can think of that as sort of, we're with you all the way. Students from recruitment to enrollment to transitioning to campus life, and then it's an entity that provides programs, services, and support to students throughout their academic experience.
So beyond that, what opportunities do you have to interact with students?
Well, I take every opportunity I can get to interact with students, whether they want me to or not. Really just sort of seeing students where they are, meeting students where they are, whether it's one-on-one with a student who is maybe having a difficult time for one reason or another, celebrating milestones in a student's life, participating in student plan, events and activities, doing some things like this, and really at any turn you'll find me around campus.
That's awesome. So student life is a very broad term that affects many areas of a student's experience at school at BSU. Can you talk a little bit about what student life is like at BSU?
Yeah, so student life at BSU is what every student makes it. Right. So we provide so many opportunities for students to engage in our BSU community. As I think you both well know, it's also about where a student wants to sort of find their path. College in general is a time for students to explore, maybe grow a little bit in a particular area that they like, or stumble upon an area that they had no idea that they were interested in. So student life provides that forum, whether it's participating in an event or an activity, whether it's a student organization, a club, intramural sports, learning more about health and wellness, learning about how to manage one's time. So I think student life really is very broad in scope, and the students can find their way. I can guarantee you that there's opportunity for students to engage, and if there isn't, students can create it here, and we'll support them in doing that.
So in addition to getting involved, what advice do you have for students that are looking to navigate college life this time?
Yeah, well, my advice is embrace the nervousness, because everybody's going to have it, and if somebody tells you they're not, I'd be skeptical. I'd be a little skeptical, only because it's just so different, right? If students tell you they're not, then I think be skeptical. Be skeptical that Students have really a lot of opportunities. Even though it can be a scary place, transitioning to somewhere new, whether students are living on campus or commuting on campus, really just finding their group, finding where their class is.
Right.
I mean, just really.
Yeah.
Right.
I was that student that was like, where is anything day one? Yeah.
So I feel like being open to, not doing everything perfectly is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give to students, and not to be afraid to ask questions, right? I think you will find that everyone here is very open,
Right.
welcoming, and happy to help any student with any issue. And know that there are people and resources where students can go to if they are having a bit of a hiccup. So that's what I'd say about that. Look for opportunities, read things. That's always a critical piece. We haven't figured out how information through osmosis works just yet. So it's important that they read their email, look at discussion boards or advertisements that are going on, so that they can really see all there is to navigate, right? So as far as advice goes, it's not the same. If the student is traditional age and they just finished high school, they'll find it's not the same as high school. So you really have to be planful about their time. And leave time to have fun, leave time to meet new people, but definitely leave a lot of time to focus on studies.
I love what you said about asking questions, but I think that's the scariest thing to do.
Yeah.
But at BSU, with all the resources there are, there's always an answer that you can just ask that question.
Yeah, it's really scary. I remember one time when I first came here, I asked a student, I said, "Can you tell me where the restaurant is?"
Right. Yeah.
It was literally right there. So I get it.
Yeah.
Right? We're all sort of, anytime we go somewhere new, there has to be an opportunity to just sort of put ourselves out there and ask what we just don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about students having hiccups and challenges possibly in their transition to school. What resources are there on campus for those experiences?
Yeah, students are going to be experiencing a lot, and sometimes it's just overwhelming. College just in general can be overwhelming, but coming back from the pandemic, for our sophomores and above, coming right to campus, just after COVID, maybe COVID has affected families, not even with COVID, but there are a lot of stressors on a student's well-being, and even if they're not really heavily bogged down with that, but just maybe a little, it's always good to have a good check-in, check up, and so we do have resources on campus when students are struggling, whether it's the counseling center, our wellness center, our health services. Our wellness center encompasses counseling and health services, but those are two really good places to go. And in fact, I think you all invited folks from the Wellness Center and did, so check out that family corner episode. But I always tell students, there's no shame in your game to go check in with the Counseling Center.
And I think it's easy enough as just calling it. Like, it's right on campus. Insurance is not required. They always make that a point. So I think it's just another idea of how resources are there for us.
And even if it's not during counseling center hours, we do have some evening hours, but if somebody just wants to talk with somebody, we have a 24-hour phone service that students can just call and talk with the counselor.
Absolutely.
24/7. So thanks for asking that, because that really is important. And we all know how stressful college life can be, whether it's coursework, just our social life, whatever it might be. So that's really important. Thanks, baby.
Of course.
Thank you for that. So kind of to add on to that, what advice do you have to give to parents that are looking to support their students to navigate this transition for the first time?
Well, it's a scary time for them too, right? So for parents and families and other champions of student success, I would just say, let them go, let them explore, know that it is going to be different. Keep in touch for sure, and we'll encourage students to keep in touch with home as well. but let them navigate their campus life and find their way, so to speak. I think some parents can be a really good guide in that regard. Others may not be so sure how to guide a student. But I think what parents can do is say, hey, try to go to the student union or go to the dining hall. Try to find others and really engage, meet people. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if all else fails, go see the dean of students.
Okay.
Or call the dean of students. I think I'm joking about that, but not really.
Yeah.
I do mean that for students and for families. Sometimes they just don't know where to go or where to turn or how best to help their student or guide their student. And I would offer myself and my team as a resource for that.
So talking about involvement for a second, what's involvement like at ASU? And more, how do students go about finding your people? You often say.
Yeah, well, it starts from day one to be involved and be engaged in all that's coming in. There's a ton of it as a new student, right? Getting emails from all of you as part of our wonderful orientation team, and probably emails from their academic affairs or academic achievement center. As they prep all this, sort of getting ready, take your placement tests, pick your classes. It's a lot. And while it's definitely great for parents to help guide students with that, that's another thing parents and families can do, to ask questions. Have you done this yet? Aren't you supposed to have done this by now?
Right.
Really sort of to prod them along.
Right.
But they really need to take responsibility for their own success in a lot of ways. And so finding where to go. Student Union is a great place for a start. And we also have online resources, recognizing that students are working as they embark upon their college experience. And so they may not always be able to be on campus as much as they would like. And so some of that legwork can be done online, whether it's checking online for BSU Engaged. That's a little plug for a new platform that we'll be bringing on board, or talking with other folks, staying after class, figuring out where folks hang out, and finding a space. For our commuter students, I'd say don't hang out in your car. Hang out somewhere else. You can find a quiet space.
Absolutely.
Okay, so a large population of students at Bridgewater are commuters, so
I gave you a good segue to that question.
So how does BSU support the community at our university?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, MJ. I mean, our largest population is community students, whether they're living nearby on campus or a bit further away at their homes or elsewhere. And we want commuter students to know that everything and anything that's offered on campus is for them, right? Everything. But commuter student life is really supported, and anything you want to know, whether it's about finding a place to live in town or nearby, figuring out how students who commute can get engaged with campus life, that's a place to go. Their social media is on fire. That's for our director of that office, Shelly Kennison, who's doing a great job. But there are places for them to go to become engaged.
Okay, thank you.
So how can families best support their students and help them have the full BSU experience?
Well, I mean, families, really it's just that encouragement, checking in with students, asking them what are your plans for the week, the weekend, encouraging them to stick around on campus. I think that's one of the ways to really engage in the community, and really just ask them how they're doing, as recognizing you're generally interested, but really engaging in conversation about sort of next steps, how's it going, how are you finding your way, what are you struggling most with. Sometimes those are hard conversations to have with students, and other times not. And sometimes on the opposite end of the spectrum, you might just sort of let them go for a little while before
Yeah.
you ask 42,000 questions, so that they're not feeling that pressure. Right? That's like, graduation party season right now.
Right.
What's the best question that any graduate? Oh, what's your major?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, enough. I can only imagine. So I think finding that balance probably between inquiry and letting students sort of find their way without having to record every single instance.
Okay, so kind of pertaining to that, in encouraging, as families encourage their students to get involved and, give a little space for them to stay on campus on the weekends and things of that sort, how can families still ensure that they're staying involved within their students' new college year?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to just say that we want families to be involved. We certainly consider families partners with us as a university in student success.
Right.
So, back in the day, it wasn't as easy to engage with a student while they were away at college. Maybe some parents would remember that. But now with social media, FaceTime, iPhones, texting, it's pretty easy to stay connected. And I would encourage that even if you feel like your student doesn't want to hear from you, they do. Every now and again, they do. If they're living on campus, a nice gift package or a surprise card is always something fun. Or even at home, navigating a new home life, particularly for a student who commutes. Some families actually may have other students and sort of they figured that out already going to college. But if this is a new experience, know that if they're telling you they have to study, they do. There are a lot of pressures and distractions really that can occur while at home. So I really think that families talking with one another about what that's going to be at home when a student is studying, working, just trying to juggle everything, responsibilities at home, responsibilities to work. That I think a conversation about what's realistic in a student's life and try different things out.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a lot of trial and error, and I think it's a lot of understanding balance. And
Yeah.
it's just like, meeting your student where they're at, but also giving them the space to grow. So, and I think no student is the same. We always say like there's no cookie cutter student, there's no cutter orientation leader. So I think it's the same way. Like different students may need different needs. So it's all about just having those conversations.
absolutely, and families know their student best.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
So they know the kind of environment that their student thrives in.
Right.
They know the kind of environment that challenges their student. They know how their student interacts, how comfortable they are
Right.
in interacting, how maybe that's a growth area that a student needs to work on, and they're hoping that the campus experience can help in that regard. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So you had mentioned parents and families staying partnered with the university. How do you suggest that they go about this?
That's a great question, MJ. One of the ways to do that is through our new BSU Family Hub. I know you all have heard about it, but really it's just a new online website where there's information provided about all that's going on at the university. And actually, sometimes parents are able to tell students, hey, I read about this. Why don't you check this out? Or, this deadline is coming up. So that's a great way for parents to stay informed and thereby become full partners. That's a good way to have partnership, I think. Just them, too, feeling like they're part of our BSU family. Because that's what we ideally want. Their student is coming here, but they're part of our family.
It's also a great way to interact with other families, comment features and all of that. So meeting other families, and I think like having a community of support across each other. Is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think parents too can find sort of like-minded parents, parents in the same boat, parents who've sort of gone through the experience before, who maybe can waylay any concerns or issues or offer themselves as resources. Or, sometimes you'll see parents talk about, oh, I know, they should go to this office. Or
Yeah,
call that
exactly.
Office. So yeah, it's great. So definitely engage
So thank you, Denine, for your perspectives today and your words on the student life experience. And I'm sure your words will be very helpful to a lot of students as they transition into the university. And I'm sure it will help them get excited about coming to the university and starting a new life.
I hope so. I think they're already excited, MJ,
Yeah.
but I hope so. So thank you
You know
so
we're
much
excited.
for having me.
Yeah. You can never be too excited.
Never be too
Never
excited.
too excited. Thank you for viewing today's episode of Family Corner focused on the student life experience. Be sure to catch our other episodes as well by visiting the VSU Family Hub website, where we talk with other campus partners about the student experience just like today. We look forward to seeing you in another episode soon. Bye for now.